energies that are manipulating you, manipulating your child, causing physical interaction and sometimes harm. We do know that there's some positive spirits here, some family spirits here, and that to me is a huge comfort, that there are some good energies here that are meant to take care of you, but it's clear that something doesn't belong, and you validated that you're constantly unwell, you're constantly feeling sick, and I was able to pick up on that as well. I mean, I can't imagine having to feel like that all of the time, and then part of you accepts it because you blame yourself for a lot of this. You have that self-blame, and then part of you is just so frustrated and so darn sick of it. And it's like this battle. You're going to battle with yourself sometimes. And I'm very sorry that you have to endure any of this, but we want to get you solid answers and resolutions to it. So if you want to give us just little snippets, some baseline stuff about what have you been dealing with?
Actually, when our son was, I think he turned 1 or 2?
2, I think, yeah.
We started experiencing a lot of things happening that we tried to debunk, like things would be sitting on a shelf and all of a sudden they'd fall, like somebody knocked it off or something like that. We tried to ignore a lot of things that would happen. Lately we've been having things like, for instance, he has an airplane in his room, and we know it was in his room, and when I went by the baker's rack in the dining area, it was sitting on the baker's rack.
Huh.
Yeah. It just appeared.
Wow.
We don't even know how it got there.
Yeah.
It just appeared. We see a lot of shadow figures going between the bedroom and the bathroom, like it's a entryway back and forth. I've seen a tall shadow figure like running towards us. I've been sitting on the couch and I just see it out of the corner of my eye. And I've literally yelled, and my husband was like, "What?" And I said, "You didn't see that?" And so it was something very, very tall, very big, coming towards us.
If it helps to your claims, I'm seeing stuff running around all over in here right now.
Yeah.
And I don't always see them solid, but seeing that something going into the kitchen, then something going down into your son's room.
I see
Give me the chills.
A girl, I'd say she's about 6 or so.
Yeah.
Floral print dress on, and she's always by the dining room table, and then she goes back towards my son's room, but she runs her hand along the kitchen counter as she's walking back.
Wow.
I've been asleep, and all of a sudden I just wake up, and she's standing there looking at me, and then she just dissipates.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to be a threat of any kind. I think she's semi-residual, but not quite. We might actually get some interaction from her, but she doesn't, she's associated with this area from way back. I don't see any threat out of her at all.
I don't feel scared or anything like that.
Yeah. She's just there.
Yeah, she's just there.
It's a little weird, to see that.
Yeah, she seems solid.
Yeah, isn't it a little strange to just go and see that? You're like, huh? What now?
Yeah, she just seems solid. I also, in our bedroom, it's been a couple of years ago, we were getting up, and all of a sudden, I heard a snake on the side of my bed, like a rattlesnake.
Oh, wow.
That's disturbing.
It is.
Okay.
And my husband tried to debunk it and said maybe it was this or that, but he had to admit that it was a snake we heard.
And so you both heard it.
Yeah.
I mean, investigated and there wasn't anything.
Well, I got out on his side of the bed.
And then you go and look and there's no snake in the room.
Yeah, he investigated. He looked under the bed and everything like that, and there was nothing.
And that would be unusual for a rattlesnake to get into the house, too.
Yeah.
Especially in a town like this.
I'm going to go with that's weird.
Yeah.
That's not normal. And that's also something that would startle and scare you.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Sure.
constantly see somebody walking up to our door. A man, tall, slender,
Yeah.
and he's walking up to. You think somebody's at your door and going to ring the doorbell, and there's nobody there.
Through like the curtains right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My husband, the doorbell rang, and he went to the door, and there was nobody there,
Well,
but there was wet footprints there.
oh wow.
That led away from the house, and the grass wasn't wet,
Yeah.
and nobody could have gone that quick.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're not seeing them.
Was that during the day?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was during the day.
The dog.
Yes,
That was really creepy.
that.
Um,
Go ahead.
she was here in the dining area on the laptop. I was in the room folding up some clothes for work, and Jonathan was in the bed asleep. And we both heard a dog bark
Inside the house.
inside the house.
But I heard a big dog.
She heard a big dog. I heard a little dog.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And you guys obviously don't have a dog.
Yeah,
No,
we
we
don't.
don't have any pets.
There's no dog.
Yeah, it was startling because, I heard the big dog in his room bark. And of course, being a mom, or parent, period.
Yeah, of course.
You want to go protect, but I was frozen in fear,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he came out and said, "Did you hear that?"
Yeah.
So,
And she said, yeah, it was a big dog. I said, no, it was a little dog.
so.
So, yeah.
So it was downplaying it to you, or are you scared of little dogs or
Mm-mm.
no? Just
No, neither one of us are scared of
Neither one of
dogs.
us are scared of dogs. Big dogs or little dogs.
it presented
both
itself
been
in two
around-
different ways.
Yeah, we've both
That's so
been
creepy.
around dogs
Yeah.
all our lives. I mean, she was raised with dogs. I was raised with dogs. I worked with people when I was in the military. Worked with guys who were canine units. I mean,
Yeah.
we've always been around dogs.
And
Sure.
there's absolutely no reason to be hearing a dog in a dogless household.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
That's so bizarre.
And your mother doesn't have a dog.
No, she has no pets either.
Okay.
I have seen my son said to me when he was about 7, 8, he asked me to come sleep with him because he kept seeing people. And so I told him, I'm fine. I got in the bed with him. He went to sleep, but is exactly like he said, when I opened my eyes, there were 2 individuals standing in his doorway, a woman figure and a child figure.
Oh wow.
They were shadowed. I couldn't.
Yeah.
They had no, and there was a man standing in the backyard, beckoning them to come to him.
Oh
so,
wow. Maybe
I,
they're- See, that's the other thing here at play is that if you have some latent mediumship or if your son has some mediumship ability, spirits are going to be drawn to you guys. Even though, like the nice ones that just want help. And the problem with that is like you guys don't know what to do with them. You don't know, you don't want them here necessarily.
You were saying about our room, it felt more like a hospital
Yeah.
room.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt to me. Yeah.
I work at a hospital.
Oh.
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 Okay.
Oh no,
Okay.
you're dragging dead people home.
Well,
Oh no.
2 years ago, I saw an apparition in the morgue.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Well, that doesn't
And
surprise me.
there's
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
can-
people say
Seems perfectly
that,
normal.
A lot of people say that Sutter Roseville is haunted.
Yeah.
Yes,
A buddy
I've
of
heard
mine
that.
was transporting a patient to his room.
Mm-hmm.
He had the patient, there were 2 nurses, and the family. They went into the room that the patient had been assigned to, and one of the chairs, he said the back part of the chair lifted about 3
Oh, jeez.
inches off the ground and then just dropped.
Oh my God.
And everybody saw it. The nurses saw
Oh
it.
my
The
God.
patient saw it. The family member saw it. He saw it.
That's nice and creepy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Did
That
they go
is.
to a different room?
I don't know. I don't know if I did or not.
I'd like a new room, please.
The patient said that. I'd like a different room, please.
I would all of a sudden get well.
You just read my mind. I'd be like, I'm feeling better. Goodbye.
Oh lordy.
So, yes,
Oh
things do
man.
happen there at Sutter
Yeah.
Roseville.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a layered thing that's going on here, and that's why I don't feel all of it's inherently bad. I mean, because there are some.
Layered things.
I don't understand why I hear like a woman screaming in
Oh,
my
jeez.
ear. It's distant, But
She's
screaming.
probably screaming at you for help or something because she thinks you can cross her over. That's why the grounding and the aura protection is so important for you, because you do have some latent abilities, and if you don't bubble yourself and keep stuff away from you, every dead in the neighborhood is going to be like, oh, knock, 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 like maybe she can help me. You know,
I used to. It's funny that you say that. Usually about 3 o'clock in the morning, I would hear the doorbell ring in my sleep. Really weird doorbell.
Well, at
ring.
least they're polite. They're ringing the spiritual doorbell.
Right.
They're ringing the doorbell, and I would go to get up to see if somebody was there, and I would say the good spirit would tell me, don't open the door.
That's good.
And I would see a shadow, just a shadow of somebody go by. And so...
That's good and creepy.
That's really,
Yeah.
Right.
that's awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So...
My feeling is that if you don't want to use those abilities for that, that purpose, you don't want to cross them over, all you can do is if you feel a spirit, if you hear somebody screaming or yelling or whatever, any of those sensations, simply stop and enter into prayer for them. That's all you need to do, that's all you can do, that's what you're comfortable with. Right now, you've got a lot of spiritual warfare going on, and, things that are attacking at you and harming you. You don't have time to battle that and then also be, the ghost whisperer and, crossing over.
I'm not trying to be a ghost
Yeah.
I don't want to be that.
Exactly. You don't have time for all that. That energetically is not healthy for you right now. You've got so much health stuff going on that it's not a good time.
You need to take care of you, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to take care of you first. So when you're sensing spirits, even just like the nice ones wandering around, it's fine for your family to be here. They're not going to harm anything. They're just protecting you. But other spirits that come through, if they follow you home from the hospital, or if they come through the neighborhood and they find you because you're a lighthouse, you're a beacon, or if they find your son, it's a matter of acknowledgement. Okay, I feel a spirit. Enter into prayer for them to be taken to wherever they need to be, and then that's it. Then you're done. There's no communicating with them. You don't need to interact with them. You don't need to do anything more than, I feel a spirit, okay, let me get into that meditative and prayerful state. Let me just have the light talk to them, and then you give it up to the light, and you don't get involved anymore. You're done.
Okay.
Because anything further than that is just going to be too intense for you. And people say, well, why don't you just turn off your gift? That doesn't work.
No,
And when you try to turn it all the way off, then they actually get louder and more
Yeah,
obnoxious.
makes it worse, yeah.
So if you at least have this one little sort of kind of happy medium, this middle ground of, all right, well, I'm going to say a prayer for them, then that's all your soul can offer right now. Then they're not going to expect any more out of you or demand any more out of you. And the ones that do get pushy, that's when you set the big boundaries and you ask for your angels to come and your protectors to come and for the light to come around you and push things away from you and stay in the light and enter into prayer for your own safety. And that is a really healthy way to approach it, so you don't get taken over by this this type of energy. Because there's some stuff here that just, they're not respecting your boundaries. They're not being kind. They're not being they're not using good manners.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
Yeah,
and there's one particular entity that's just a nasty little leech. And
So we can actually hear them call our names.
that doesn't surprise me.
Okay. Because
That does not surprise. Yeah, of course you can. I mean, if you're clairaudient, which means the ability to hear the other side, yeah. And some of the more aggressive ones will do that, and they'll do it in different tones. And they'll make it sound like there's a lot more dead people here than there is, because they're like, you'll hear a woman, you'll hear a man, you'll hear a girl, you hear all this stuff, and sometimes it's just one entity trying to freak you out.
we always hear a woman.
Okay.
Except for my son was in the back, and we have this little game where we try to, scare each other,
Yeah.
kind of do that, we've been doing it for years. And I thought he was sneaking up behind me because I could actually feel something behind me.
Oh, wow.
And then all of a sudden, I was sure it was him because it said Mom.
Ooh.
And I was like, I turned around and, and there was nobody there. And I said, Jonathan? And he said, yeah, Mom, I'm back here in the back. What do you need?
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like, oh, nothing.
Never mind.
Never mind.
When they start impersonating family, that's crossing a line.
Yeah, I actually heard it say "Mom." It was right here in my ear.
Yeah.
And you identified it, thinking that it was your son. So when they start to mimic family, that's you would agree that's probably not.
That's crossing the line.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
no,
not
that's not okay.
That's crossing.
None of this is okay.
Yeah, that's crossing a lot of
Oh, yeah.
boundaries. That's not really acceptable to cross that line.
It's over the line.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And man, there's a lot of boundaries that need to be set
Yep.
here. We absolutely can deploy a plethora of cleansing methods that will hit it from a multitude of angles, different spiritual practices and angles. I've got holy water from the Grotto of Lourdes. We're just going to hit it with everything. I've got sandalwood, I've got sage, cedar, I've got Palo Santo. I've got just a little bit of everything. So
We're open to it.
yeah, we can nail it, pretty good. And
We've
give
got
you-
altar dust.
Yeah, and give you guys some tools. But I would really, at the very least, even if you can't go out and buy all the different supplies to keep doing it all yourself right away, maybe bits and pieces, at least work on putting yourself in a bubble every day.
Okay.
But when you get up and before you go to bed, this is a really simple exercise. This is not hard to do. You know what a disco ball looks like, right? All those pretty little mirrors that reflects everything out and away from you and just sends everything away from you. Get yourself inside of a disco ball,
Right.
and it's just you and the beautiful light, and you can do this. Everybody does it a little bit differently, but if you want to just engage in a little bit of prayer time or meditative time, and just kind of be within yourself and be quiet within yourself, and just get that big old disco ball around you, and nobody else is in your disco ball, just you and the light, and stay in there, and especially before bed, and tell your son how to do this, and tell mom how to do this.
Yeah.
Just staying in there. When you get in it, when you wake up, you're like, oh, I'm fresh, I'm ready, I'm in my disco ball, I can face the day. Then when you get into bed, you get into your disco ball for sleep, so it just stays around you the whole night through. It's only a visualization technique. It's very simple.
Okay.
And whatever prayer you want to say, whatever feels good in your heart for you, just for that light to keep that disco ball around you, and then anything that tries to come near you, just bing, 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 bounces off all the mirrors. And that's just the very basic. That's like the Reader's Digest version,
Right.
Basics of it, just so you know that you can pop inside your disco ball when you need to feel safe and you need to have a quiet, meditative moment.
Okay.
You can definitely do that. And I think that needs to be happening with all of you guys every single day for quite some time until you get but until it becomes second nature, when you just know your disco ball's on.
Right.
It has to be sort of like a mental, okay, I'm putting it on.
Put it on.
And until you know that it's just there. And that seems like one of those bizarre little things, but it helps immensely, especially for people who are sensitives. So,
Yeah.
but the biggest thing is I have to extract that energy off of you that seems to feed off of you. Because it is feeding off of you.
Where would it been attached to?
That's a good question, to be perfectly honest. It is trying to make you feel like it's been with you for, quite some time. And I can't quite figure out where it found you, but it found you somewhere really random. It's not even what you expect. It just found you somewhere random and decided to connect to you. And I don't know if you, when you were younger, if you ever, played with any, tarot cards or Ouija boards, or went to seances or did anything with your girlfriends,
A Ouija board.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we all did when we were young.
And part of the time, people play with those things and nothing ever happens. And then and then the other part of the time, very bad things happen.
Yeah, I was playing with the Ouija board because back then they didn't.
That was the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I start being able to hear a voice talk to me,
Yeah.
and I told my mom about it.
And how old were you?
I was probably about 7, 8,
Oh wow.
something like that.
Yeah.
And
Holy
so
cow.
my
That's a
mom
long
actually
time.
took the board and broke it up
Okay.
and burned it.
Well, the burning part's a little not as good. The burning just
Yeah.
releases it.
Yeah, well,
Drowning it is how you're supposed to actually.
it took forever. Actually, between my grandfather and my uncles, they doused it in gasoline and everything,
Oh man.
and then it finally started burning.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Did it scream?
Actually, we did hear a distant scream,
Yeah.
but we
we
thought it
often
was
do.
somebody in the neighborhood, kids playing.
Okay, I gotcha.
They're not meant to be. So there's a couple ways of properly handling the boards. One of which is turn it over to a haunted museum with people who can properly store it without leaving the planchette on it, and for display purposes, it's a display. It's not going to hurt anybody. If it actually has already let something really dark through because somebody left the portal open, and that it's just like leaving the door open, in the middle of a rough neighborhood. It's not a good idea.
They got any of those around here? We'd have to draw to Las Vegas.
Send it to Zach.
Yeah. I think he has enough.
Yeah, he probably does. Or if you have one that has a problem, burying it in hallowed ground, which is not easy to do, like cemeteries or churches, I wouldn't recommend doing it. Drowning is how I have always recommended for people to deal with them, which is wrapping it like in a cloth and then putting it in running water like a river. Most of them are like wood or particle board, so it's not really hurting the environment. And besides, I'd rather drown one than have a demon in my house, so what's worse? And so that is usually proper disposal. Burning them, breaking them, any of that kind of stuff, not a good idea. Storing them with the planchette on top of them, also not a good idea. And really, quite frankly, just playing with them in general, not a good idea.
Right.
Not a good idea, humans. Tell all the YouTube people. I know people that collect them, okay, and that's fine. Even chiropractor collects them, but but it's decorative purposes. It's that's what it's for. And there's a lot of people that say they're just a toy, and I guess anything to a degree can be whatever you want it to be, but
Not once you put the planchette on the thing.
there's an intent level that occurs with certain types of communication devices. With certain talking boards and spirit boards, the intent is to contact something. Most people, some people are good at this, but most people are not very specific. They just open the door wide open. They freak themselves out.
They'll use
as
the term
kids.
anybody. Is there anybody
Yeah,
there?
anybody here? Is there anybody here?
That's the worst thing you can do.
And then you get anybody, and not the kind that you want.
Yeah.
You don't get Rob, anybody, and Dawn.
Right.
You just get anybody.
Get anybody, and and so you get all this energy that comes through, and oftentimes I found that darker entities are attracted to these particular boards because it's younger people who are not sure how to open and close properly, and they run away screaming, and they leave the door wide open.
Yeah.
So think about like the seediest, roughest neighborhood and the skeeziest hotel, and you leave the door wide open at 3 a.m, and you've got, and maybe you're not wearing any clothes. Well, everybody, come on in.
Right.
Here I am. Isn't this great? Oh, no one's gonna hurt me. It's gonna be fine. It's an invitation that may lead to nothing happening. Maybe no one will walk by that night. Maybe no one will notice you. Maybe it'll be just perfectly okay. And then maybe you'll have a whole pack of, really rough and tumble people coming through like, aha! 4 of them are going to want to attack the naked person. The other group, they're going to want to take the gold. The other people are going to, who knows what's going to happen. You're getting Pirates of the Caribbean and going on in, in the middle of the space. A lot of these particular spirit communication methods can lead to that. Now, not to say that people don't know what they're doing with them or that they're not experts in their field, and that's fine. And I respect the people that want to do what they want to do, like Zach Bagans, and he wants to collect all the haunted objects, not just those type of things. He has the Dybbuk box, he has Kevorkian's van, and that's fine. He is doing something in a responsible way. He's collecting it. He's having things blessed. It's meant for educational purposes. It's being treated as a historical or educational purpose. Right. Just because you played with one when you were 7 years old, again, still not technically your fault. You were a little kid. You didn't know. And something thought, oh, that's a tasty little snack. And it took advantage of you. it would like be shaming. It's shaming the victim if you say, oh, well, okay, well, a 7-year-old did this, and now their life, of course, their life's horrible. Well, no, you didn't permit this thing to stay in your life this whole time. It has just decided to feed off of you and abuse you and take advantage of you. What we use this information for is for other people out there in the world of saying, you know, some actions do have consequences, and sometimes they can be lifelong consequences.
Right.
So just don't start.
Right.
Like just like if you can prevent it and you can just not engage in certain activities, this could have happened to you regardless. If something had just seen your beautiful beacon of light, because you are a light, you know, energy, you're a lighthouse. If something wanted to find you, it still would have found you. In a way, maybe you crack the door open a little bit easier for it at that time, but it still does not make it your fault, because honestly, somebody, you know, you were a kid, somebody else should have told you, no, don't play with that.
And haunted locations is, you know, going to haunted locations and not being prepared is another thing that can get this into people's lives as well.
Yeah.
I don't go to the Winchester house.
It's
Wait,
intense.
Bill.
Yeah, well, then it's not for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I go into the auditorium part atrium part,
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
going up the little steps,
Yeah.
I start to get nauseated, and I feel like I'm gonna just lose it.
and I
It's a
think
powerful
I
location.
think I probably know why. It's because you're not really grounded and you don't really have any aura protection. You don't have you don't have your disco ball on,
Yeah.
and so you're feeling a lot of dead people. I've been there, and it's a lot of dead people.
Yes.
Like, a lot. So it's like you're going into a crowded room. You know, you're going into like a small little room with maybe 150 dead people, and if you don't have your bubble on, they're all right here. It's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually did well on most of the tour. There's only like 3 places that I felt really intense energy because I had my bubble on for the most part. So I can see why that
Yeah,
would
no,
be
that's a
almost
haunted location for sure.
intolerable. Alcatraz would probably be hard for you too.
I won't go there.
Yeah,
No.
I can see.
My son wants to go there because, you know, the
You know,
whole
it's
thing.
cool. It's educational.
Yeah, it's educational, but
I like those places for that purpose. But there's a lot of dead people. So until you learn how to
Oh,
bubble
yeah.
well, and you are like bubble on, you're like good, and you're just in that rhythm. Avoid some of these hot spots until you can protect yourself.
yeah, we were on the water doing the tour kind of thing, and just
that's
driving, just
I've
going
been-
by it, I'd start feeling sick.
Alcatraz myself.
It's cool.
A long
Yeah.
time ago. I've been to Alcatraz, and then when I was in Belgium, we drove through Bastogne.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so that was.
Do you know what Bastogne is?
I've heard of it.
It's where the Battle of the Bulge took place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be a hell of a lot.
So I need, I would
You
like,
probably deal with it a lot better.
like to ask you a question.
Sure, please.
Around that time when I was, as a kid, playing with the Ouija board and stuff like that, my mother had a lady that was an enemy, really. They broke into our house when we weren't there, and she dabbled in witchcraft.
Oh, that's not good.
And she did whatever to the house. Reason why I say that is because my mom had a drawing that someone did, a colored pencil drawing of an angel, and it had a saying on it. It was a beautiful angel. As the time went on after she broke into our house, the words got smaller, the angel got bigger in the picture.
Oh, man. Wow.
My mom ended up putting the picture in her room because it was just, it didn't even look the same anymore. It was very mean, and it stared at you.
Wow.
And so she put it in her room, and she had a picture of Jesus Christ in the type that, you know, no matter which way you walk, it looks like Jesus is looking at you.
Yeah.
And I used to do that as a kid. I
Yeah.
thought it was fun. But the picture would no longer follow you. It stared directly at the picture on the wall.
Oh God.
And so when all this came about, I was laying in bed, and all of a sudden, I thought my mom had sat on my bed. And there was an imprint of someone sitting on my bed. And so, of course, I called to my mom, and she came in there. Also, for some reason, and I've constantly had this since I was that age, there is a male figure, or at least it presents itself as a male figure. There's no way there could have been a light coming through my window in my bedroom, and I saw a male walk across the shadow. It was shadow on the wall, but walk across my window. I told my mom. My mom immediately went out in the backyard. There was no one there. And I see the same figure quite often.
How does that figure make you feel?
Well, my first thought is it's an intruder in the backyard. You know, so it's a little unnerving.
Okay.
But after that, I just feel like I'm being watched. So I don't
Because it could be a spirit guide or a protector too.
I think
You know, it doesn't have to be a.
I don't think it's
negative.
anything bad. I think that it's there when I feel most fearful. But it's startling to see.
Of course it is.
Of
Yeah.
course.
All of a sudden you see a shadow go past your window. And
Well,
I've seen it as an adult.
You can see things though. Like even if we bless this house up, down, top, bottom, inside and out, you're never not going to be able to see them. Like this is your gift. I can't take it away from you, unfortunately. But I mean, as much as you might like it, like I can't remove the gift from you as a gift from God. It's not my place to take it. It's my place to help you manage it. It's more about management. And you can tell them, hey, I don't want to see figures from this time to this time at night, or you can set boundaries. I set all kinds of boundaries for my dead people. Sometimes, most of the time they listen. Sometimes Grandma surprises me and scares the hell out of me. But you can tell me like when I'm sleeping, when I'm eating, when I'm showering. You can like set boundaries of places and times when you're not comfortable being interacted with, even just by the positive spirits. But I'm never going to be able to remove it from you all the way. You know what I mean?
My grandmother had ability. So that's my mom, and
Yep.
unfortunately I got it.
Yep,
but
you do, but it is about management. It's about dealing with it in a safe way.
Right.
This can be a beautiful blessing. The sickness and all the bad stuff that's happening to you, that's because something else is trying to get in kind of on the side there and attach and attack you. That's a whole nother thing. That we can do something about. That doesn't have to be part of your reality. Let's seeing an occasional dead kid walk through the house, or or your spirit guide walking through the house, that's probably going to happen from time to time. That's something that's just part of you. Yay. That's your gift. I've got a lot of dead people walking through my house, but none of them are negative. And it is startling, so you're right. It does catch you off guard. You're like, what was that?
Right.
So that can be very disturbing. But what we can do is help you turn the volume down.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be all up to 10, and you're just bombarded every minute of the day, and you're feeling sick all the time, you're feeling drained all the time, you're dealing. Like, it doesn't have to be just full volume. Even with positive dead, if you don't have any rules or boundaries in place, that can leave you pretty drained and tired too. This is something you can pray about. This is something you can pray about and like, look, I need help managing this.
I did pray, but I said, God, please take it away from me. I did pray that. I did pray.
And he probably looked at you and said, child, what?
Yeah, probably.
No.
Probably said, yep, she's a Looney Tune.
Like, I gave it to you. You need to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
That's what that is for. It's not an accident that you have this ability.
I apologized to my husband one time.
Aww.
When we were first married, I told him, I said, I am so sorry. Because, it was just everything was happening at once in our place. And I don't know if he was a believer or not before we got married, but he's a believer now.
Yeah.
So I'm so sorry. I had my grandmother actually come and check our place out, our duplex, because the doorbell rang and he opened the door. He's like, "There's nobody here," and he shut the door. And then all of a sudden we heard like doors and stuff closing and opening.
She checked out this one too because that double doors in the back. We'd probably been in here only for a couple of days. I went in the back and it was wide open.
Oh, geez.
And none of us had opened it. And and I know I checked the night before, going to bed to make sure it was locked. And like I said, the next day, breakfast, and I just walked back to get something. There it is, wide open.
Yeah.
Some of these spirits, they don't respect boundaries.
She
they
rings
just
the doorbell at least.
Yeah, some of them are polite. Some of them are just walking through your house. So I think we should probably do some meter readings and
That's what I was thinking,
get a baseline for what's going on. It's clear that you've been bombarded with a plethora of different things over the years and experiences, over time, that have just kind of all layered upon each other and overwhelmed you. So
Yeah.
we need
And-
we need to fix this.
Yeah, because I don't like to hear people walking on my roof.
No,
Wow.
no,
Yeah.
and that's a common one. We hear that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, we're not going to be able to take away all of the stuff
Mm-hmm.
because you are a lighthouse. But we can make sure you know how to tell them, yeah, no, back off, you know, put you back in the driver's seat.
Yep.
That works for me.
Alright.
That's where you need to be,
Yep.
in charge.
Absolutely.
Large and in charge.
That's right.
And make sure you run the roost, not them, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and
Okay.
it's all about management.
Okay.